Well, who knows? Maybe it's not conflict. Maybe it's something more positive. Procreation. I haven't been able to see the other one too well. I think this is definitely a bull that's popping his head up above the water and in his low growl. We might be disturbing some intimate behavior here. Oh, I see a crocodile. But you can't see it yet, because it's hidden for you. Now, the reason why I'm here primarily for this crocodile, I was hoping that there were ellies here. I was hoping that maybe this might cause some adjustments on the camera, might require VM to do some things, but I wanted to sneak. Can you see him down here, VM? Ngwenya. Oh, yeah. And I think from this angle we can see pretty much the whole dam. Waterhole, the whole waterhole. We call them dams, by the way. This is not cussing, cursing. Hippos are getting active. What do we look at? Crocodile or two hippos facing each other? That's why I said there's been waves. And you can see some of the waves that are now emanating from this little bubbling water that's just occurred. I'm looking at the edge of the dam and I'm seeing that there's water splashed up at least a foot and a half away from the edge of the water, and it would take a lot of things to do that. Okay. I think this is a bit of a fight about to happen. Or not. Unfortunately, I'm very, very rusty on my Hippo dialect at the moment. I'm not too sure what the one... It's the one on the left, by the way, that is doing this low communicative call. But so far they're being quite amicable. And the one on the left, I thought he might have looked a little bit bigger. But it's hard to tell. There's some very serious interaction going on. Crocodile is submerged. I think it was Valerie in Pennsylvania was asking about scat and dung, the definition of scat and dung. If I can interrupt this hippo interaction. I think, yes, Valerie, we tend to use scat rather than dung. Well, I've used dung for carnivores as much as I've used it maybe for herbivores, but I think the more internationally understood nomenclature or word would be scat for the carnivores, the predators, versus dung for the herbivores. I don't know, the crocodile must have just done something. It was submerged for a bit, and now there's just suddenly a lot of bubbles around the crocodile, so it must have either tried to catch a fish. And the reason why we're here is because there's debate as to whether this is the same crocodile that was here a little while ago, the big croc that was here earlier, before I went on leave, whether it's another one. Now we're right on the sort of western edge of Buffelshoek Dam. The crocodile that used to be mostly stuck around that end, but that's not to say it's not going to utilize the whole waterhole. But it's not going to be able to do us any good just looking at what little we can see of the crocodile until it maybe climbs out of the water. So let's see what happens with the hippo. We're going to sit here a little while and see what transpires. And maybe something will come down to drink. Beer, there's a feather floating next to the crocodile. Now we had an experience once, so I think it's not going to do anything. A leaf or a feather. We had a wonderful experience with a crocodile in Thorny Bush when there was a feather floating on the pond. That is a feather. And a bald crocodile. Sorry to drag you away from the hippo. Yeah, I think this is a confrontation more than an amorous meeting. What did you say, Scott? Don't look at me, hippo. I'm not coming into your water. I'm not part of this. Animal behavior is a really amazing thing because you can never really learn everything there is to know about it, because no animal runs on such a clockwork or such a specific behavioral pattern that when you have interaction, when you have individuals that are behaving whatever they're doing rather than sleeping, there's a chance to watch and observe, and there's a chance to learn something. So for the time being, and I don't know how long we'll stay, but we're going to sit here for a few minutes. Something might happen. A question from Nikki. Nikki wondering why they would be fighting. Would it be territory? Well, as yet, I can't really call it a fight. But at the moment, it seems to be a disagreement. And whether there's a challenge from the one that's just poking his nose out and growling, or whether it's submissive, I have to be honest, I don't know. But at the moment, it just seems a little bit of a confrontation, and not too sure what is going to transpire. One of the reasons for this might be that we're going into the dry season. We've had very, very little rain. We've got waterholes and dams that are drying up and getting smaller and smaller by the day, and there are very, very few that, here we go, there's a little bit of a challenging posture by the bull on the left now. He lifted his head and sort of arched his neck. That is definitely a dominance and challenging posture. So what could be transpiring here is that somewhere along the line, dams are drying up. And space is getting limited. Now, sometimes there are anywhere up to even 15, 20 hippos in this dam. So there are a number of other dams, a number of other water bodies. If you don't know, our concept of a dam, by the way, is something that is a sort of a man-made structure, a drainage line that has an earth wall built across it so that it retains the water that becomes runoff in the wet season. And if they're deep enough, like this one, they can retain water right throughout the dry season. But sometimes some of them start drying up, especially because we haven't had very good rain this year. In fact, it's been quite sad. How early things are starting to dry up. And so possibly we've got a bull that is seeking new wintering grounds, new area to spend his dry season in, and has brought him here where a bull already has claimed territory and is marking this as his waterhole, I guess. And it could well be that being matching sizes, being unwilling to concede defeat from the challenger or unwilling to reach a compromise, they are squaring off, but neither one of them wants to really be the one to initiate much of a charge and an assault. Who wants to be injured? It's hard enough finding grazing. Now you've got to remember, hippo are grazers. They only eat grass. Not much in the way of anything else, and grass is starting to wear pretty thin at the moment, so we don't only have their water resource starting to dry up and starting to get smaller, we've got a situation where their grazing is starting to get smaller and smaller. Could be that hippo just found himself in this waterhole today, and now that sleeping time is over, it's time to wake up. Maybe it's time to defend your territory, who knows. But we could be here all for the rest of the day, and this is all they will do. And it might turn out to be something entirely innocuous. It's interesting behavior. It's not something we see very often. It's almost like calm is restored. He's still grumbling, that old man. Crocodile might. I was telling you about the crocodile, yes. See, we had this crocodile that appeared here, out of the blue. what made it so much more remarkable is that it was sort of this dry time. Sometimes when it's raining and the drainage lines, these dry riverbeds, when they're flowing, you can expect crocodiles to start moving upstream, especially because you get fish that move upstream, catfish and bream, what we call tilapia. They start moving upstream, and you often have crocodiles and other things following these fish that are moving upstream, trying to find different water. And to have one come here in the dry season is also probably testament to the fact that there are dams drying up and that it was seeking more permanent water for the dry season. But having said that, while I was on leave this past week, evidently there were tracks of another crocodile coming this way, and the debate is whether this is in fact the same crocodile. My immediate thought is that it looks a little bit smaller. In fact, considerably smaller. So what I want to do, I want to sneak around the other side of the dam and see if we can see if the bigger one is there. We might not get any conclusions about this whole thing, because if the other crocodile isn't there, then it still doesn't answer the question whether it's the same one or not. We would need to see it out of the water to have a better idea. But I'm looking at it from here and I'm thinking, the one that was here, that was a bigger crocodile, I think. So let's go around the other side. We can monitor what the hippo are doing from there. And at the same time, I don't know, they just don't seem to be progressing much in their dispute. Okay. Of course, when we're below the dam wall, we might very easily hear all the commotion. Okay, go. Hello, Joe. Joe's in Wales. Nice to hear from you, Joe. What about crocodile? Stay there. Don't move, because I want to see the other crocodile. Joe in Wales wants to know if there's any threat to the hippos from the crocodile. Under the circumstances, I don't think so, Joe. There's been a lot of buffalo here. A lot of buffalo tracks. Like a little herd. I've lived on some pretty major rivers in Africa, and some of the best crocodile and hippo territories you can get, from the Okavango Delta in Botswana, the Zambezi River in Zimbabwe and Zambia, to the Rufiji River, the Tana River up in Kenya,